Ladies and gentlemen, in the beautiful crypto world, the last couple of days in crypto have been really interesting. And one of the main reasons that I'm saying that right now is because Bitcoin is back to $63,000. Ethereum is back to $3,500. We obviously got ourselves some news of the Solana ETFs, more and more speculation that Ethereum ETFs are coming this week, and some other pretty crazy pumps across the board. Having said that, I'd say that a lot of what's happening right now might be at least partially based on politics and people being unsure of what the next major potential political but also potential macroeconomical move is going to be. For example, Zero had shared, price action indicates lack of any true conviction or depth of liquidity on the NASDAQ. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I will say one crucial thing here, and that is, I've been saying this for a long while, yet people don't understand. If you just keep bidding, and in this instance it means you just keep buying your way down lower, ultimately I personally think it's impossible to lose when talking about crypto. And here's just one example of that. Now, there's obviously some people who are critical of these examples by stating, one, it's not always going to happen in the exact same manner, and second, that a run right now is so vastly different than previous times, it may not occur the same way. But I like to argue this. If you just look at how the way Bitcoin/crypto performed in past cycles, one thing that becomes quite apparent is that people, generally speaking, give up a few, you can see right there, right? That people give up every now and then ever so slightly. I can't point towards it really nicely, but it's just, that there's like dips here where the price could have straight gone to all-time high, but there's a massive, it doesn't look massive, but it is, correction in the midst. And I think it's kind of similar to what we're seeing right here, where I've been saying, if you just keep buying the way down lower, ultimately, I think we will be fine, because there's probably a crazy moonshot towards what? $150,000 happening, following this sheet, even $300,000, but I like to be a little bit more conservative because more and more money is entering the system. Then again, let's be real, even at $300,000, gold has, let's say, a value of roughly 15 trillion. Bitcoin doesn't even have 1.5 trillion, meaning 10x, 15x or so even 600,000. I think the value for Bitcoin has to be $580,000 or so. No, I guess it's 680 or whatever, because it's more than 10, wait a minute. Let's make it simple. $795,000 if it were to become as big as gold. Now, I know it's a bit over ambitious to state that this is around the corner, but on the contrary, I do not think it's too insane to believe that this, over a longer period of time, could actually just be a start, specifically because people now look at Bitcoin as comparable to stocks, to an Apple, etc., etc. Now, let me remind you that just a NVIDIA was worth $3 trillion just now, and Bitcoin is a way larger part of the entire industry, but that would mean at least double or so. Let me put up, though, that ultimately it's more of a commodity currency, but a way easier and way more scarce one than gold. So if it's a better reinvention of gold in a lot of ways, it wouldn't be too crazy if it now attains way more value because of the extra greed from the scarcity. Might take more time for governments to really step on in and buy huge chunks, but I think that that's like our game plan over time. But before we move on, I'll quickly talk about our partner for today's video. That is called 𝗓𝗪 Finance. And they're basically an all-in-one DeFi solution offering a comprehensive ecosystem designed to meet various financial needs. The token for the project is still rather small, but they've got some pretty juicy exchange listings coming up. And since the project is already profitable and backing their token with that profit, it's quite an interesting prospect. Having said that, the project does cover multiple different sectors, from one which I shall not mention, to RWA, copy trading, DeFi. They've got quite a lot. They've also got themselves apparently a strong German team, some nice publications already, and apparently you can just double check the audits if you want to at Chainsulting. Anyways, to simply put, they're trying to make DeFi easy for people with a long-term vision of growing this out to be a major thing. Exchange listings hopefully coming up before Q4. And I believe they're also doing a pretty big Telegram giveaway, where I believe 75 people will get $100. And then people who use their Telegram bot and refer others also might get more tickets to hopefully win more. Or, yeah, I know they got a $10,000 pool. Just check it out for yourself. And anyway, if you want to join those communities, I'll leave a link or so down below. And thank you, Carol, for partnering up on this video. Having said that, if we're talking about like overall news, it's actually not been too spectacular for the past couple of days. And like I've said, much of it is just anticipation of Bitcoin making that flip back to the top. And that's again why we were also just buying at these levels every single time it gets there, because the probability of a new leg up is just that great. Again, it is not guaranteed though, ladies and gentlemen. We can still have another breakdown. We could still get towards these previous prices, for example, and fall right back down, and potentially afterwards fall down even lower, because now summer is starting. And usually summer is where things get a little bit funky. And I guess right now we've got ourselves the ETH ETF coming up maybe within a few days, right? But also Mt. Gox's sales starting this summer right now. But also FTX making some steps. I just saw this. Alex Kruger said, Mt. Gox selling, Germany selling, US selling, the government, but FTX creditors will be buyers soon. Now, why is that? Let's take a little bit of a look. The payments in kind to Gemini and Mt. Gox creditors differ from other bankruptcy cases such as FTX, the creditors of which are expected to receive payment in cash. FTX plans to pay creditors shortly after the final approval of its wind-down plan on October 7th. Payments to creditors in cash would be supportive for crypto markets, as some of the creditors, the most of crypto native, will likely reinvest their cash into crypto assets. In other words, the payments in cash to FTX creditors, around between 14 and 16 billion, would create the opposite dynamics to those created by payments in kind to Gemini and Mt. Gox creditors. While payments in kind create the risk of liquidations, as some creditors decide to take profit, payments in cash create a positive flow impulse, as the most crypto-native creditors may decide to reinvest their cash into our system. And now, a side note to that is that FTX themselves has already been liquidating large sums of crypto a while back, so that could be interesting in terms of pumps. And there's actually another interesting little thesis here, and that is that summer, generally speaking, following this analysis, follows out the same way, with actually quite a I wanted to say quite a negative conclusion, but that's not always true. The conclusion after summer is not really always clear. I think you just meant to say that usually there's a big bottom in June, and then slightly afterwards we see a pretty good uptick. So first a bottom in June, slightly uptick, bottom in June, slight uptick, bottom in June, slight uptick, if history is a good teacher, which it often is. So like he says right here, it's followed by a quick plus, I'm going to call it 40 or so %. And if we're taking a look at the previous bottom that we were buying at, if I can grab this one right here, it is indeed quite true that the price right now already is up like 9% or so. If Bitcoin goes back to these previous high points, we're up 25%. But I guess it doesn't fully come along with the theory that I just showed you, because the prices didn't actually actively dip that much. Now, if we're looking at the current trend though, it seems that we are still in an uptrend, because the previous low that we've made is not as low as the prior one. Then again, it also seems like a downtrend because our highs are not as high as the highs from before. So right now we just have a converging pattern and are waiting for the next major move. And again, a converging pattern in this case is like this, where you're just coming closer and closer to a massive move, but it's not happening just quite yet. Then again, we are at $63,000 yet again. So we're making our way back up. And ultimately, if the price doesn't go down as much, nothing is stopping me from still believing in a theory which I described before, which is over the next few months, we'll be going towards the hundred, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars. So it's all just fog. It's all just like mist distracting me from what's most important, which is the upside. But yeah, that's about it. Obviously, as I said before, right now, I still believe that it may be time for Ethereum and Bitcoin getting less and less attractive. As time progresses here, I'm also still thinking about buying some of the altcoin dips, like Phantom and a couple other ones, just because of what is about to happen next. The next phase usually involves Ethereum ecosystem, and some of the more huge altcoins where people had massive deals for that just messed up by the last couple of days of minus 50%. And meme coins are still always nice, but it's more on the side. But just take a look at my videos over the next couple of days. I'll be sharing some altcoin cool tips. Not financial advice, but just my thoughts for what's about to happen next. I'll see you guys again in another crypto video, hopefully very soon.